Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. You know that feeling, right? When your house is just a disaster zone and it's like really stressing you out?
Ooh, tell me about it.
Well, today we are diving deep into how to swap those frazzled vibes, you know the ones, for some serious Zen.
Yes.
We're talking about finding peace through cleaning and mindfulness.
Love it.
Even if tidy doesn't exactly describe like your current living situation.
Well, and you know what's interesting about this? It's not just some like woo-woo feel-good idea. There's actual science behind it.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So we're going to unpack this episode from the Cleaning Channel podcast today.
Yeah.
It's called Zen and Clean, How to Create a Peaceful Home Environment with Simple Cleaning and Mindfulness Practices.
Right?
And basically, it turns out there's a real link between clutter and your brain chemistry, like literally.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah.
So this podcast episode we're diving into, they start off talking about how clutter actually increases your cortisol levels, right? Cortisol, that's the stress hormone.
That's the stress hormone, yeah.
So it's like, no wonder a messy house can make you feel so on edge.
It's true. And on the flip side, research has shown that a clean, organized space can actually lower those cortisol levels.
Interesting.
It's like when your surroundings are in order, your mind has more room to breathe.
I like that.
And it's not about, achieving some picture-perfect, magazine-ready ideal.
Right.
It's about creating a sanctuary for yourself, a place where you can truly unwind and de-stress.
I love that, a sanctuary.
Yes.
So where do we even begin? Because this is where I feel like a lot of people just hit a wall, right? You open your closet, you see this mountain of clothes, you're like, nope, and you just want to close the door again.
Oh, yeah.
So how do we get started?
Right. But they emphasize in this episode that it's not just about, mindless tidying.
Okay.
It's about decluttering with intention, like being really thoughtful about it.
Okay.
You probably heard of the whole spark joy thing,
Yes.
but they kind of take it a step further. They suggest asking yourself questions like, does this item bring me peace? Or does this fit my vision for a peaceful Zen space?
That's so key. Like, it's not just about, does it make you happy in this moment, but does it actually, it's about being really intentional with what you choose to surround yourself with.
Exactly.
And creating a space that truly reflects the energy you want in your life.
Yes.
What I thought was interesting is they even suggest starting with a phrase like, I am creating space for peace in my life before you even begin decluttering.
I love that. What's fascinating about that is that by doing that,
Yeah.
you're shifting your mindset from ugh, chores to I'm actively creating a more peaceful environment for myself.
Yes. It's almost like setting an intention for your entire cleaning practice.
Exactly.
And speaking of practice, they talk about approaching cleaning itself as a mindful activity, not just like something you rush through, to get it done.
Yeah.
They suggest slowing down, maybe focusing on your breath as you clean, maybe even using like natural cleaning solutions with calming scents, things like lavender or eucalyptus.
Oh, I love that. That's such an important point, right? It's about transforming those dreaded chores into opportunities for mindfulness.
Yes.
Instead of stressing over that to-do list, you're engaging your senses, being present in the moment. And actually, I love this, they talk about turning cleaning into a form of self-care.
I love that shift in perspective, right? It's not just about getting the job done, it's about how you feel while you're doing it.
Yes.
And then they go on to talk about designating specific zones of peace within your home.
Yes.
Which I think is so cool.
Places where you can go to just relax and recharge.
Yes.
And we're not talking about needing a complete home renovation to do this either.
Right.
It could be a quiet reading nook,
Yeah.
a meditation corner, or
Yeah.
even just a clutter-free spot where you can enjoy your morning coffee in peace.
Right.
The idea is to create these little pockets of tranquility throughout your space.
I love that little pockets of tranquility.
Yeah.
So we're decluttering with intention, we're cleaning mindfully, and we're creating these personal zones of peace.
Yes.
But how do we actually maintain the sense of peace? Because life, right, life gets busy.
It does.
Work, family, kids, social commitments.
Yeah.
Things just pile up again, right? Both literally and figuratively.
Absolutely. And the podcast actually addresses that, which I think is so helpful.
Okay, good.
They really emphasize the power of incorporating small, consistent rituals into your routine.
Okay, so it's not about doing this massive overhaul one weekend and expecting that
Right.
it's going to stay perfectly zen forever.
It's not about perfection.
Okay.
It's about building sustainable habits
Okay.
that support a lasting sense of tranquility.
I like that.
So, for example, they suggest a daily 5-minute reset at the end of the day.
That myth.
Just putting things back in their place, wiping down surfaces, maybe lighting a candle, just to kind of signal that transition from like work mode to relax mode.
Oh, I like that a lot. I can see how something that simple
Right.
could make a big difference, especially if you do it, every day.
Consistency is key.
And 5 minutes is doable,
Oh,
even on like the most crazy day.
exactly. And then maybe on the weekends, you dedicate a longer, like, Zen hour to a deeper, clean,
Okay.
dusting, vacuuming, refreshing those zones of peace.
So we're talking about decluttering with intention. We're turning cleaning into a mindful practice. We're creating those personal zones of peace. And like you said, we're establishing those little rituals
Yes.
to kind of keep the good vibes,
That's a good one.
keep it flowing.
Exactly.
What I'm curious about is, does it stop there?
Right.
Or does this whole Zen and clean philosophy extend beyond just our physical space?
Ooh, I love where you're going with this.
Okay.
You're definitely onto something. Because they talk about how this idea of mindfulness can expand into other areas of your life.
Yeah.
Even things like as simple as cooking or making the bed.
Okay.
It's about finding ways to be more present and intentional in everything you do.
Which, let's be real, is easier said than done.
Oh, 100%.
Because it's so easy to just go through those motions on autopilot,
It's true. It's so easy to go through the day on autopilot.
Yeah.
But these practices are like, they're gentle reminders to slow down, to be present, and to find that joy in just the simplicity of everyday life.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing is like all those micro moments of mindfulness,
Right.
they start to add up.
Yeah.
You begin by creating that peaceful space in your home, and then it's like that same energy just starts to seep out into other areas of your life.
That's true.
Even the ones that, used to feel chaotic or mundane.
It's like a ripple effect almost.
Totally, yeah.
It's funny because I think a lot of us, we get so caught up in like the have-to-dos that we forget to even notice those little moments.
Right.
Let alone appreciate them, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's so easy to just go through the day on autopilot.
Totally.
But, these practices, they're like gentle reminders to slow down, to be present, to find that joy in the simplicity of, just everyday life.
Yes. One thing I really appreciated about this podcast episode that we're talking about is they emphasize that like this isn't about
Yeah.
creating a perfectly staged minimalist home.
Right.
Like it's not about achieving some kind of like Instagram-worthy aesthetic.
Right. Yeah.
It's about creating a space that feels authentically you and supports your well-being.
Yes. I love it's about intentionality, not perfection.
Yes.
And sometimes that might even mean embracing a little bit of what some people might call organized chaos.
Yeah.
Like if having a stack of books on your nightstand brings you comfort, then that's perfectly fine.
Right.
It's your Zen space after all.
I love that. Like, it's about figuring out what truly brings you a sense of peace and calm.
Yes.
What helps you feel grounded and centered.
Yes.
Because those things are going to be different for everyone.
Absolutely. It's about tuning into your own intuition.
Yes.
And creating a space that feels truly nurturing and supportive.
Yes.
Not like following some rigid set of rules.
Right, right. And so it sounds like this whole Zen and clean approach.
Yeah.
It's about so much more than just like our physical space.
It is.
It's about cultivating a mindset and a way of life.
You got it.
Mm-hmm.
It's about finding those moments of peace and presence, even in the midst of, like, our busy, crazy lives.
Yes.
It's about appreciating the simple things.
Yeah.
And it's about creating a life that feels aligned with our values.
I love that.
It's a beautiful thing.
So for our listeners who are like, okay, I'm ready. I want to bring a little more this Zen into my own home and into my own life.
Yes.
Where do we even suggest they begin?
Okay.
What are some actionable takeaways
I love that.
from all of this?
Well, I think a great starting point is that concept of decluttering with intention.
Yeah.
Right? So choose one small area of your home. Maybe it's a drawer, a shelf, a corner of a room.
Super doable.
Right. And as you go through each item,
Yeah.
ask yourself those key questions. Does this bring me peace? Does it fit my vision for a peaceful space? Does it spark joy?
Yeah, and I love that we're talking about starting small.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where a lot of people they get overwhelmed. They try to do too much at once.
Exactly.
To
Exactly.
just start with, one drawer.
Yes. And remember, it's not just about getting rid of things.
Right.
It's about being mindful and intentional
Mhm.
about what you choose to surround yourself with.
Right, like what you're bringing into your space and into your life.
Exactly. Both physically and mentally.
Okay, I like that a lot. And then once you've kind of, done a little decluttering,
Yes.
that's when you can start thinking about those zones of peace we talked about.
Yes. And again, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate or,
Right.
Instagram worthy.
Exactly.
It could be as simple as finding a corner where you can just set up a comfy chair and good lighting for reading,
Totally.
or clearing off a small table for a meditation cushion and a candle.
Okay. I like it. And don't forget those little mindfulness techniques while you're cleaning.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Yes.
Focus on your breath. Engage your senses.
Be present.
Yes, make it an experience rather than just like another chore to check off the list.
Precisely.
Ah,
And as you go about your day, see if you can bring that same sense of awareness to those like everyday tasks, right?
yeah.
Like when you're cooking, really savor the aromas, appreciate the flavors.
Instead of just like inhaling your food.
Exactly. Or when you're making the bed, you know, don't just rush through it.
Right.
Actually, like, feel the softness of the sheets. Take a moment to be present in that experience.
It's amazing how much of a difference those little shifts in perspective can make.
It really is. It's like that saying, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Right.
By bringing more mindfulness and intention to these seemingly small tasks, we're actually cultivating those qualities in all areas of our lives.
Yeah, I love that. What I'm really taking away from this whole conversation
Yeah.
is that it's not about like adding more to our already overflowing plates,
Well, totally. I completely agree.
It's not about like giving ourselves another thing to do
Right.
to try to be perfect at.
Yes, it's not about pressuring yourself to achieve some like perfect state of Zen-like bliss
Right.
while also juggling, 8 million other things.
Exactly. And it's not about like,
Right.
having to become some like completely different person.
Right.
It's really about just like finding those moments of peace and even joy, honestly, like
Oh, yeah.
within the flow of our everyday life.
Yes, love that. It's about working with what we've got,
Yes.
looking at our homes and our routines with those fresh eyes,
Yes.
and just discovering ways to create a more peaceful and grounded experience for ourselves.
Yes. I love that because it's a journey.
It
It's
is.
not a destination.
It's not like you're checking things off.
Right.
There's no finish line to cross. There's no like perfect state of Zen to achieve.
Right.
It's about cultivating that mindset and then weaving those practices into our lives in a way that feels sustainable and authentic for you.
That's such a good point. Sustainable and authentic.
Yeah.
Because it's not about trying to become someone else.
Right.
Or create a space that doesn't even feel like your own.
Exactly.
That's about like tuning into your own sense of
Yeah.
what feels good and what brings you peace.
What feels good to you.
Yes.
And those things might change, by the way,
Totally.
from day to day,
Yes.
even moment to moment.
Yes.
The key is to stay curious, to keep exploring, and to just approach this whole process with a sense of self-compassion.
I love that self-compassion.
Yeah.
Because I think it's easy to get down on ourselves
Oh, yeah.
if we don't nail it perfectly right out of the gate.
Well,
Right.
there's all the time.
Like if we have a stressful day and the house is a mess, it's like,
Exactly.
ugh, I should be better at this.
Yeah. Yeah, you're human.
It's like, no.
You're doing great.
We're all works in progress. Always.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Yes.
And even the smallest steps, those little shifts in perspective, those micro moments of mindfulness, they all add up over time.
They do. They really. Okay, so as we kind of like wrap up this deep dive,
Yes.
what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this conversation today?
Oh, that's a great question. If there's one thing I want to leave people with, it's this. You deserve to have a space where you can feel at ease.
Mm-hmm.
A place where you can truly relax, recharge, and reconnect with yourself.
I love that.
And that space doesn't have to be, anything fancy or Instagram worthy.
Right.
It doesn't require a complete, renovation or a team of professional organizers.
Right. It's already there.
It's already there.
Waiting to be discovered, like within the walls of your own home.
Exactly. It's about bringing that awareness,
Oh,
that
yeah.
intentionality to the way you interact with your space. And with your daily routines,
Love it.
it's about finding those little pockets of peace in the midst of all the everyday chaos and realizing that you have the power to create a more peaceful and fulfilling life for yourself. And you can start right now,
Yeah.
like in this moment.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Thank you.
Until next time, remember to embrace the journey, cultivate those little moments of peace,
Yes.
and create a home and a life that truly nourish your soul.